As we all know by now, the aviation industry has been hit hard by the ongoing pandemic, which, due to government regulation and airlines taking action, has reduced or suspended most of their flight operations. As we discuss the impact of the pandemic amongst the airlines in Asia, the AirAsia group immediately comes to mind, with its affiliates in some of the most important markets in Southeast Asia. And some aviation analysts have raised concerns over the financial state of the airline group, and how it navigates this crisis will have a big effect within the aviation industry in Asia. While with an optimistic start to the year 2020, as we have seen, things have deteriorated, with the AirAsia group suspending flight operations and grounding of around 96% of its aircraft across the several affiliates from Malaysia to the Philippines and India. As travel demand throughout Asia began to weaken, countries where AirAsia has affiliates started to impose government bans on travel, starting with the Philippines when it imposed a domestic travel ban on March 13, which was followed by the suspension of Thai AirAsia excess operations just days later. By the start of March, the subsidiaries in Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and India suspended their operations, which was followed by AirAsia Japan on April 9. Along with the flight suspensions, AirAsia executives are reportedly taking pay cuts of anywhere between 15% to their full salaries. Like many of its fellow aviation counterparts, there seems to be a growing concern for the cash flow of the AirAsia group. According to a report from CGS-CIMB, given the current financial state of the AirAsia group, it estimates the AirAsia group has enough cash balance to support the airline's fixed cost for about 5 months. To get this figure, the analysts led by Raymond Yap from CIMB base it on AirAsia's reported cash balance at the end of 2019, which was around 2.6 billion Malaysian ringgit, including around 1.2 billion ringgit in terms of advance sale. The analysts assume that the airline will actually have to refund around 20% of the bookings, leaving a remaining cash balance of around 2.4 billion ringgit. With that figure, the group estimated that the expenses that AirAsia will have to pay will be around 527 million each month, citing the need to defer payments for suppliers and to tap into new debt facilities. Yap was quoted in several reports stating, quote, "Our forecasts assume that AirAsia will raise an additional 1 billion ringgit in debt funding this year, and 600 million in the next 2 years to tide through bruising losses and cash burn." For potential sources of much-needed funding, some have pointed out to the Malaysian government to give a bailout, given the potential impact a loss of AirAsia would be to the nation's economy. This was actually addressed in a recent interview of AirAsia Group CEO Tony Fernandez dismissed the need for a bailout, though the airline group is considering loans.
Last year, your net cash position at AirAsia was 2.2 billion ringgit, Tony. Do you think that this is enough to weather the current challenging environment, or are you going to be seeking some type of bailout?
Well, no bailout. You don't need a bailout. Obviously, many airlines are looking at loans. We think the cash lasts us for the most part of this year, and if sales return, then we're okay. But it would be great to get a loan as well, and we're working on that with our government. But yeah, we think liquidity is available in Malaysia and Thailand, etc. So if need be, we'll call down on those lines. But we have enough cash to last us quite a while at the moment.
Another source of financing suggested by CIMB could come from its Thai AirAsia affiliate, with Yap stating, quote, "Thai AirAsia also has unutilized revolving credit facilities with banks, can raise more secured debt using unencumbered aircraft, and can also sell and lease back a further 11 planes which remain on its balance sheet." What Yap is specifically referring to are cash on hand and current investments worth around 4 billion Thai baht, along with a sale of 10 aircraft and a leaseback of 9 others completed earlier this year, with net proceeds of around 3.6 billion baht. Like many of its aviation industry counterparts, AirAsia is in the same boat, in an unprecedented fight for survival that could see some casualties, in the form of airlines shutting down and businesses affiliated with them also going down under with them. And cash is the biggest priority for these carriers, which for the most part have been offering flight credits and changing of schedules over giving out refunds, which some travelers and the general public are questioning, as many who are foregoing their travel plans more likely needs to use the cash spent on a plane ticket that they may not be able to use versus purchasing essential goods such as food, water, or paying rent. And AirAsia is in a potential situation as it is operating with affiliates in varying jurisdictions, with some airing out their frustrations on social media and press. As the AirAsia group continues to deal with travelers looking to get refunds or to change their flight plans, one of the affiliate carriers with the most concern around them is the long-haul arm AirAsia X, with losses of around $490 million in 2019, and this has been a recurring trend over the last few years. With the decrease of demand, AirAsia X has sought to defer payment on lease payments for several of their aircraft, around 17 Airbus A330s from various leasing companies, along with the deferral of delivery of the A330neos it had placed orders for. With an unknown end to the crisis, the biggest strength of AirAsia has been its optimistic growth along with its strong brand recognition, though these strengths seem daunting in the face of the unprecedented crisis we now see with the pandemic, where businesses and individuals are struggling alike. While it's easily one of the most recognizable brands in Asia with its affiliates in several countries, this could be a cause for concern for the airline, as the ability to return things to normal will be dependent on the several jurisdictions where it operates at. For the recovery period, we could see a smaller AirAsia once the government-imposed lockdowns and travel restrictions are limited, which could see the cessation of operations of AirAsia X. Despite the aggressive marketing, it has been struggling over the years, and this pandemic could be the final blow for this sector of the AirAsia group. AirAsia will likely be relying on the key markets of the archipelagos, specifically the Philippines and Indonesia, where air travel is a much more convenient way of traveling the islands, as well as its home market of Malaysia. Another thing that could help with the recovery for AirAsia is its current diversified business ventures, such as Teleport, which offers booking cargo carriage on AirAsia aircraft, which actually is a good idea given the current situation. Though I will say they will need to ensure that they handle the debate of refunds or traveler credits in a way that doesn't detriment the brand by eroding the trust of its customers. At its core of its operations, AirAsia Group has been one of the more innovative companies to come out of Southeast Asia to become one of the most recognizable brands, and just so happens that its humble beginnings came at a time of big challenge, being bought for cheap, as others have already written the brand off. Despite that, it became one of the largest budget carrier brands, not just in Asia but also the rest of the world. Now, in this time of crisis, it will have to rely on that type of management to navigate the current crisis. How do you see AirAsia navigating this crisis, and what would be the outcomes of this? Also, given the current state of issuing out refunds or traveler credits, is there anyone who has had travel plans with AirAsia affected, and how has the response been? I definitely hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a great day.